Welcome to Spilling the Guts webinar. I am Penny, your host, and I'm also known as Plant Based Penny. I'm excited to have each one of you here today, and all of you who are in the group, and all of you who are watching on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, let me know, or if you're watching on Facebook, let me know so that I know where you are. It is going to absolutely be a great webinar, and I am very fortunate to be here to bless you with the information that I've been blessed with and that I've experienced myself. So, what I will do is just to let you know that this webinar is going out through my YouTube and my Facebook group. And also, I will be answering questions at the end. So, if you need to write down your questions, because I will come back and answer those as many as we can get through. And also, if you want to message me afterwards, you can do that. And there's some surprises and great things that will be coming. So let me know that you're here. Say hello. How are you? And let me know that you are ready. So put ready in the comments. So we're going to get right to the meat of the matter. And I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can benefit and look, live, and feel well. So I'm going to be off screen while I have the webinar. And thank you for joining. Glad to see you all in the room. Yes, wonderful. Thank you. Good to see Priscilla. Good to see Juanita. Good to see Hanita. And good to see Tori. All of you. Great. Wonderful to see you. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I'm going to be mindful of your time. So we're talking about tonight spilling the guts on gut health. Yes, and we are going to talk about it. So what specifically is on the agenda? We are going to talk about what and why is gut health important. And we're also going to talk about what harms your gut, because we don't want to be doing anything that's going to be harming our gut. We only want to do things decently and in order and positively. And we're going to talk about what to do to help your gut, along with what can you do about all of this. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to be answering the questions in the Q&A session of this webinar. So, so some of you may have no idea who I am. My name is Penny, also known as Plant Based Penny. And after decades dedicated to corporate America, I moved abroad and learned to practice all things plant-based. And so my experience and expertise in 3 countries, well, no, not 3 countries, 8 countries and 3 continents, along with grandma's remedies and God's wisdoms, help to restore my health. And so, I almost died at one point, but it's important to know that the journey was definitely worth it. And I'm thankful for my wellness journey. So I have a passion now for helping other people experience wellness and using proven holistic and natural healing methodologies. So some of the things I'm going to share with you, some of the things that I learned in medical missionary school and through my other certifications. And those include why gut health matters. And so, you can read it for yourself. So I'm not going to read every last one of these, but it's important to know that 17 million people are affected by gastrointestinal diseases. And so it really does take guts to address it, and to address it in a manner that's going to be helpful for each one of us. And so I've been everywhere. I've been on podcasts, I've been on television, I've been on social media with interviews, and just that experience, and along with my personal experience, has helped me be able to relate to people who are going through the declining health. And so it's not something I read in a book. I've had a toxic body system and gut issues, plenty of them to talk about. And so that, I think, helps make me positioned to be able to help you have realistic and actionable steps. Okay, all right, here we go. Um, put in the comments, wow, if if you're looking at the photo that I'm looking at. And this is me. Yes. Okay. When I took this picture, I was not confident enough to take a picture with my head in it, but this is actually me. Yes. And so, just personally for me, when my stomach sticks out further than my boobs, I have a problem. Okay. I know that that is an issue. And so, this right here, what you're looking at, this is not just me being fat. Although, there's a documentary that I recommend to you called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. That's a really good documentary to watch, as well as What the Health is another really good one. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a bad gut. This is what my journey looked like before I realized that what I was doing to my own body was creating this. And some people say, well, all I'm doing is eating. Well, depending on your body, on your homeostasis, your body just may not be digesting properly. And so you end up being bloated, where you're thinking that you just gained weight. Really, you can almost see the outline of my intestines there. Okay, we're going to get off this slide. So I am your expert to help move you from problems to progress. And that's what I do with people. And I am just elated when they give me the great news of their progress. And so the question I have is, what harms your gut? So the germophobia industry, there's a whole industry out there with the mindset that every germ is a bad germ. And so that there's antibacterial, antimicrobial agents. They're everywhere. So put in the chat some examples of things. Well, we know that there's antibacteria, the wipes that you use on your hand, but there are other examples. I'm just curious whether or not other people might know what those are as well. So they're on many different surfaces as well. So even baby bibs have an antibacteria agent on them, different surfaces, such as sometimes playground equipment or bedding, or even now, and so I spent 34 years in the corporate America. And so bank cards, credit cards, they are made with antimicrobial agents on them. And so, as I mentioned, it's everywhere. And so our immune system, unlike in the olden days, does not interact with germs on a regular basis to be able to build up that resistance. And in childhood, if you are anywhere near my age, or if you were born, I guess, before the 90s or 80s, there are some things that we did in childhood. So what things did you do in childhood that people probably don't do now because they say, oh, that's going to have too many germs in it. It's going to have too many germs in it. And so what that does is the child's body is going to interact with some things later on in life, but the resistance was never built up. So unfortunately, our efforts to kill and avoid germs have compromised our gut microbiome. That sets us up for chronic conditions, multiple chronic conditions later on. So we are a nation of consumers, a nation of consumers. And so what does that mean? We consume foods, stress, and hydration, things that we drink. And so there's sugars, so there's artificial dyes, and there's food flavors, and there's natural flavors, and there's excessive sugar feeds the microbiome population in our gut, which can greenlight the genes to write the code for sugar metabolism and transport and increase the risk of type 2 diabetes and obesity. So that's a lot of information to just say that the chemicals that we put in our body are paving the way for harm to our gut. And of course, irregular bowel movements also show us that our guts have challenges with them. So then the question becomes, how do we help our gut? How do you help your gut? So there's a couple of ways that you can do that. And you can help it with probiotic foods. So if you've heard of probiotic foods, put yes in the chat. Hopefully you've heard of this term before. Probiotics, they help break down the foods and speed up the digestion in our digestive tract. Oh, and I did not mention the digestive tract includes everything starting from your mouth to your anus. So probiotic foods, they help with the entire process, and it speeds up the digestion. It also reduces constipation, and it also helps with balancing our vaginal health. So for those of us who are women, birth control pills and antibiotics, those things tend to throw the vaginal tract out of balance, and then we develop infections because it's a very delicate area and it needs to remain in balance. And so the probiotics, some of those examples might be tempeh or kimchi. And if you've heard of either one of those, or if you've either eaten one of those, or sauerkraut, a lot of that shows up in the summertime when there's cookouts and people put them on some different types of foods or eat them as a side. So probiotics is one example. The other is the prebiotic. If you've heard of prebiotic, put pre in the chat for me. So prebiotics, they stimulate the growth of the GI flora. So that's a good bacteria that prevents the bad bacteria. That's the easiest way to say it. So it's sort of like if you have a cup and you fill it up with water, then you can't put any more water in there because it's filled already with the good stuff. So examples of prebiotics include garlic, and that's going to prevent the harmful bacteria from multiplying. Artichokes, bananas, dandelion, and oats. Dandelion is one thing that I use a lot in my detox teas. So how are we going to help our gut? So what is it that we can do to help our gut? So this is very interesting. One, let me go back here. Time out. By time out, I mean managing our stress. And this is something a lot of people don't talk about. They just say, well, go buy this supplement or go eat this or do that. But stress really is connected to most chronic diseases that we have. And that's one of the things that we studied a lot when I was in medical missionary school over in Costa Rica, is the effects of stress on the body. And stress is going to affect every level of your homeostasis and knock it out of whack. In addition to that, it's also going to affect your sleep. And lack of sleep or lack of proper sleep is going to affect your gut, believe it or not. It is actually a true, very true statement. So one of the things I asked earlier was about interacting. What did you do as a child that they don't do now? What did you do as a child? And one of the things that I know I did is I made mud pies. Yep, I tasted mud at one point or the other. And therefore, it helps you when your body kind of builds up the resistance with that. So making sure that we interact with we can't use hand sanitizer all the time. Use regular soap and just wash your hands is what I would suggest. And also being careful of antibiotics. Antibiotics are not the cure all for everything. That kills it. Antibiotics, it's anti life, is what the word means. And so it's killing all the bacteria, and we need to keep the good bacteria in our bodies. So I'm going to pause right here and find out if you have questions on what I have talked about so far. Wonderful, wonderful. And I see that, yes, thank you. I'm speaking facts, only the facts. That's the only thing that we're here for. And definitely, we've heard of the probiotics or prebiotics as food. Very good. I'm glad people are learning some things here. And does the store do the store bought dandelion teas help? Yes and no. So to answer that question, if you would look at the ingredients that are on the back of the tea box, make sure that it's actually dandelion tea, because just like with the fruit drinks that we get, it says that it's grape juice, but then when you turn it on the back, it's grapes are way down on the list. So you just want to make sure that when you're buying anything, and especially when you're buying something to try to correct your gut health, that you are making sure that you're actually getting what is said on the marketing. So there's the marketing side of the package, but then there's the real deal on the back of the package with the list of ingredients. But yes, they can definitely help. And you can actually use the dandelion roots that actually grow outside, provided your lawn is not treated with any pesticides. But I know everybody is not comfortable with that. But I talked about once before how we were shamed into changing our yards with grandmas used to grow poke salad. They used to grow dandelions. They used to grow what is the other water creases is what my grandmother called it. And so all of that was medicine in the yard. And traditional medicine did not start but like 100 years ago. But the alternative, as they call it, which was actually the original medicine, because God gave us every herb of the field and every seed yielding fruit for the healing of the nations. And so the plants were here before the laboratories were invented, before Rockefeller put money into creating the medical schools. And you can Google that and look that up yourself. I encourage you to do so. But somebody wants help with their sleep. Wonderful. Now, the question is, ginger ale sodas not having any ginger in it. That's an excellent example. I think I'm going to steal that one and use that in a future broadcast. My husband just said this morning, because I gave him a smoothie with a good knob of ginger in it. And he says, wow, he says that ginger, because he had, a little congestion issue going on. And he was saying, man, that ginger, next time I ever get something going on with my sinuses, definitely give the ginger, because the ginger really helps get out the congestion that you're dealing with. Okay, let's see. Are zero sugar drinks good for you, like Snapple? Okay, the answer to that is no. No, no, no. And actually, I have never drank a Snapple. So I cannot speak to the brand, but I can speak to the principle of zero sugar drinks. One, you want to be drinking water. So if you're drinking half your body weight in water, then you've already reached that goal. Then you can look for something else to drink, like the juices and the teas. But most of us have not consumed sufficient enough water in order to assist our gastrointestinal system with what it needs. And so the zero sugar drinks, many times they have a chemical replacement in them because they're not sour, right? When you drink them, they're not tart, right? They're still sweet. And there was just an article that came out this week that talked about the sugar replacements being a precursor or causing the cancers. So please don't drink them. Please don't give them to your children at all. And hey, yay! My first time streaming to YouTube, y'all, and apparently it is working. So hello to everybody watching on YouTube. Very good. And I'm glad, yes, we've had access to the medicine in our yards, and now a lot of people live in a concrete jungle, and they are selling what we've been conditioned to think are weeds in the stores now for a high price in the produce section. You can go in and buy water creases in the store in these little packages, maybe about, I don't know, 4 ounces or so. And when you do that, you're spending a lot of money for something you could actually grow in your house. You do see how easy dandelions are to grow, right? I mean, they are prolific. They just grow without much problem. So I would think you'd probably be able to grow some in your house. I don't know. I haven't actually tried that. I usually use the dried dandelion root is what I use. But you are definitely and most welcome for that. So I'm going to go back to the presentation to make sure that we cover everything that needs to be covered in spilling the guts on gut health. So let's go back to the screen here. And so there are questions that you should ask yourself, including the questions that you would ask me. And those questions include, what am I doing to harm my health? Am I harming my own health? Am I doing something to myself that's causing my gut to look like that picture of myself that I showed you earlier? And then the other question that you would ask is, what can I do better? And some of those things that we mentioned are eating the prebiotics and the probiotics, or sleeping well, and exercise, and spiritual habits. The spiritual habits, what's the thing? I had a tip on the signature for my text messages last week, and it was prayer is a stress management practice. It definitely is a stress management practice, and I definitely believe in prayer. So I hope that you do as well. If you're a believer, put believer in the chat, because I want to know that I have like-minded individuals here. So what resources are available? So what do we do at this point is the question. So we know that we're having these problems with our gut. And so the questions are the problems interfering with your daily activities? And do you want to eliminate those issues? And are you ready to actually take control and do something different? Because if you've already tried what you've been doing and it's not working, and you're still having the same results, then what is it? The definition of insanity is, if we keep doing something the same way, expecting different results, then That's the definition of insanity. So you're not insane. I'm going to assume that everybody is of a whole mind and can handle holistic health. So if there was a tool that existed that lets you resolve your digestive issues, would you want it? So put a yes in the chat if there was a tool that would help you resolve your digestive issues. But yes, yes, yes. Very good. Excellent. Thank you for all the yeses. And so there is a tool that can do just that. But first, I want to share with you a little bit client love. Yes. And this is from one of the people that was in my one of my groups. And Miss Edwards, she talked about the real benefit, she said, was that she incorporated God and his word extensively in her programs. And that was one of the greatest benefits. And daily affirmations, along with the listening lessons, the scriptures, the healings, they were able to reconnect with God on a deeper level and detoxify a lot of negative thinking and doubt that they've been harboring, even more so than toxins. And if you follow me on Facebook, I actually made a post today that talks about the mind, how important it is to address the mind. And that's why when I studied in Costa Rica, we studied the holistic wellness, not just what to eat or what not to eat, because it's a whole lot more deeper than that. And that is why I have the Get Gutsy group that will be starting up on April the 17th of next month, which is just a couple of weeks away. And it's a faith-based group that will help you create a plan for better gut health. So if someone is not, you don't have to be a particular religion or anything like that. It is faith-based in that I also share with you Bible texts and scriptures that specifically address our health, and we unpack those specifically. So what is the Get Gutsy group and what does it include? So you can take a picture of this screen if you need to, but the program includes my instruction, and it includes personal consultation. So before the program starts or right at the beginning, I consult with you one-on-one to find out what it is that we need to address. And then every week for 4 weeks, we meet online in the group, and you get accountability from the group. You get the camaraderie from the group, and we overcome by the power of our testimony. So being able to hear that you're not alone and that someone else is going through something similar, or they're going through something challenging, and how they're overcoming and how they're pressing forward, pushing for the mark toward the prize. All of that is very motivational, because a lot of times, I know, like me, if it's just me, I might just sit down and watch the video of other people exercising. But if I actually go to a class, I'm actually going to work out. So it actually does make a difference. Along with, there's a daily accountability diary where you get to write what your wins are for that period of time, that day. Your wins, what are your opportunities? All of that is kept down. I'm actually going to show you that when I come back on the screen. And I mentioned the faith-based wellness tools, the affirmations as well. And it's a actionable items on your journey, because you actually get a plan that is customized for you depending on what it is that you're working with. So all of that, so the expert instruction, the diary that you'll receive, the booklet, all of that equals to about $2,500. Don't hang up, but wait, there's more. Because all of those different pieces, the printing of it, and the consultation and the FaceTime, all of that does all the pre-work that's gone into it, and all the post-work and the continual work in it. It does cost. But that's okay, because I have something especially for you who are watching on this webinar today. But I have to tell you about Miss Diana and her granddaughter. Her granddaughter was having major GI problems, and her next step was going to be going to the hospital. And I actually do know people who have gone to the hospital because they were unable to move their bowels. And if you do not move your bowels, then it can become as hard as concrete, which is one of the reasons why they say Elvis Presley died. But that's a side note. So she was saying that she pooped. And she was especially relieved, and she feels so much better, and that they were going to follow the advice given on her diet. And she was so very grateful for that. Remember, this is me. I don't show this picture to a lot of people, okay? So this is what I look for, like before I began the journey. And I just want you to understand that there are possibilities. And also, let me mention this: not everybody has an extended gut who has bowel problems, or who has GI problems, I should say. Sometimes people who are very, very small, their systems are not absorbing the nutrients. And so they eat and they eat and they try to gain weight and they're unable to do so. So you can't necessarily look at a person and their size and see that they're having GI problems. So whatever your size is, if you're having gastrointestinal issues, I can help you move from problems to progress with plant-based and natural solutions. So the Get Gutsy program, as I mentioned, it includes quite a bit. It includes the diary, it includes the instruction, it includes the accountability. It's a group program. Going back to my another client, and the face has been hidden to protect the innocent. But everybody's not as freely giving in their sharing, and that's fine. And I've changed the names as well. But she mentions here that plant-based Penny was the first one to educate her on the gut bacteria and its cause for her IBS. And she's had huge improvements when she moved away from some food products that were aggravating her colon. And she even talks about the fact that GIs can cause cancer. And if you haven't heard the quote before, death starts in the colon. Death starts in the colon. And so we have to take care of our digestive health, our gut health, in order to have an abundant life, as God intended us to have life and have it more abundantly, not to walk around sick and sad and barely making it. And so she was able to benefit because of her regular bowel regimen. She get more energy. I have that as a complaint from many, especially women clients, who say their energy levels are low. And she also talked about the fact she didn't have a distended, well, you can look at the pictures. She did a lot of work. She also, as you can see, worked out. So I can't take credit for everything that she did, because she actually changed her diet and she added exercise to her diet as well. And she says the most important thing was the ability to learn what works for her body and what doesn't. So the Get Gutsy group, yes, the Get Gutsy group, there is a $2,500 value, and it is available at Get Gutsy 03-2023 for $397 for those who are in this group or watching this webinar tonight. And so the next specific testimonial, this actually comes from a nurse, and a lot of you out there might be working in the medical field, and there are a lot of great people, and we thank you for your service. And she these are her words, not mine. I'm a nurse, and I know that healthcare is pushing poison. So if there are any other medical practitioners out there who are watching and you know this to be true, or if you just know this personally to be true, that the medicines are not solving the problem, they're dealing with the symptoms. She says she beat her life-threatening illness. Please go to Penny and learn more about holistic health and natural. Holistic and natural health. I didn't change any of the words, as you can see from the people who gave the testimonials. And so, for those of you thinking that, okay, well, $397, that's a lot, maybe in one pop. But remember, we're going to move from problems to progress. And I'm going to give you sustainable practices that not only will help you for the period of time, but you can share with your family and continue to use. This is not a pill that you'll be taking. This is actually putting together tangible results and actionable steps. And so you do have the option of 2 payments. And when you go to the link, you can take a picture of the screen at the bit.ly Get Gutsy 03/2023. And it'll also, I'll actually be posting it on my social media. I was not going to post it until after this webinar, but I will be posting it. So you have direct links in the Facebook group or on the Facebook page or on my Instagram accounts, either one, and it'll be in the comments for my YouTube. So this is available with payment options. And if you have any questions, I'm going to come back to the screen, back into the studio. Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, yes, I love that I have all these believers out there. Wonderful. Excellent. Well, I don't know if I preach, but hey, I just like to tell it like it is and tell the truth, because the truth will set you free. Okay? Set you free and set your digestive system free so that we can be all that we were intended to be, so that we can live in the purpose that God made us to live, so that we're not saying, well, you know, God, I really can't do that because I really just don't feel well right now. I just don't have the energy. No. Everybody was given a gift. Everybody was given a purpose. And in order to fulfill it completely, we need to be feeling well. We need to be feeling well. And so I want to know specifically, before we end this broadcast tonight, if there are any other comments on the Get Gutsy group. I mentioned it starts on April the 17th, exactly. And it ends on, I believe it's May 3rd. It's going to be 4 weeks. So 4 Mondays that we're going to do that. And then at the end of that, there's a special treat for all of those who did it. The last group was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The group that we had from January to February. And those ladies had some transformation. And so even though I don't discriminate against guys, but it did just happen to be a group of ladies for that particular one. Does it include a meal plan? Oh, I'm glad you asked that question, because I did say I was going to show the book. So this is my book, but you actually get a book. And so you have an entire table of contents that will cover. And so it talks about, it has the affirmations, and I mentioned it has the scriptures, it has instructions on specifically what to do. And it also has the diary piece of it, which is the brain dump and the reflections and the wins. And then it has the different phases that you're going to go through. And then it has your personalized plan as well. Let me just take a peek. Let you take a peek in here as well. So you get a personalized plan that you get to write out. It'll give you the blueprint, and then you can personalize it specifically based on what it is your needs. And remember, we have a one-on-one with just you and I. And so that part is where you can, I'll let you know what your personalization is. And this is the scripture pieces that we have that are unpacked in there. Then you have the specific instructions that you're given. So I'm not just giving you a bunch of blank sheets of paper. A lot of times people give you, and it's just like a journal, and you just like fill it in. How are you feeling today? I mean, all that's important now. Don't get me wrong. But no, you're getting a lot more than that. I mean, you're getting on day one, it's telling you what to do for each one. And so it's telling you specific instructions and actionable steps so that you can actually look, live, and feel well. And so we're going to be using some earth elements. And so it's so much information. So you get me and you get a book. Okay. Get me and you get a book. And I don't make this available outside of the groups for anyone else. And so this is available only for people who are in the Get Gutsy group. And so that is one of the things that I do, because it is something that is necessary to be coached through, to walk through, so that you have questions instead of me just giving it to you and just let you go by yourself. You actually have me and have the benefit of my brain. The other question, do you know if FAFSA, I think it's, not FAFSA, I'm thinking college, FSA would cover the plan? I do not know. I do not know. That would be a good question to ask the person who administers the FSA for you. And when you find out, let me know, because then I will know as well. And so I am going to wrap up here. And I do appreciate you joining on YouTube and on my Facebook page. Very, very happy to have you join me. Oh, there are several different ways that you can get in contact with me. Let me just make sure that I share that as well. You can take a picture of this screen, Facebook, or email me. And that's my business phone number, or you can reach me through Instagram, or you can reach me through my website, which is plantbasedpennylife.com. And so either one of those will work for me, and I'm happy to answer any other questions as well. So, and there are some sample recipes that are in the book as well, because I did not actually answer that question that was asked earlier. And so I just want to use the time. I spent years living abroad, and during that time, when I wasn't living in a rainforest and practicing ocean therapy in the Caribbean Sea, when I was volunteering, or I was in school and getting educated, or I was actually practicing what I preach. And so that immersion and being able to pull from the global intellect, the global minds, the great minds that are out there, some of those being medical practitioners, having that information, being able to bring myself back from the brink of death as well, and working with clients, and all of my holistic experience, my formal education, coupled that with my experience and working with people just like you and helping them move from problems to progress, helps make me a transformative coach, and one that can make practical and actionable steps so that you too can look, live, and feel well and move from problems to progress. So thank you for joining the Spilling the Guts webinar. Let me know if you have any questions, and I thank you so much for being here tonight. You're welcome. You're welcome. You are welcome. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad that you joined, and we will talk with you later. Make sure that you check out the group link. Bye-bye.